I don't know how many like how big rap was, I guess, in their heritage, and like when you were like, yo, I'm gonna be a rapper, and like what was kind of like their point of reference for that?
Their point of reference, I don't think they have a point of reference. I don't think they really knew. Like for me, I kept it mostly to myself. Like my parents growing up, they were lovers of music, and I think I got my love of music. I think some of that is innate, and some of it is you get as you grow up in the household. But they played other music, like they played a lot of Nat King Cole, they played Simon and Garfunkel, they played classical music, like 80s, 90s pop music even. And so I got a good random splattering of music from them. But in terms of rap, I think the only rapper my dad probably knew was like Tupac.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny now that you say that is they didn't really have a reference of hip hop and rap. But the other day, like I was at home visiting my parents and I heard like 21 being played in my
Oh yeah.
kitchen. And I was like, who's playing this music? And I walked downstairs and my dad has a lot by 21 like blasting on his laptop while he's cooking. I'm like, damn, dad, what? So I was asking and he's saying because he listens to my music sometimes in the recommended,
Other stuff will pop up. Yeah.
So he'll listen to hip hop now because he's curious of like he's still kind of building that sense of like what makes hip hop like what's the different types of hip hop, why
Yeah.
people like it, what makes it good. So he's kind of like delving into that now because of, I guess, my career path. But it's pretty fun.
I mean, that's dope. That's super dope to be like,
Yeah,
I'm introducing my dad to like 21 Savage and shit like that.
yeah. It was fun.
So, I guess like in terms of like you Chinese and Asians rap, like, is there anybody that like came before that you like looked at and seen how they kind of did it? Obviously, like early 2000s, the only people that really came to my mind were like MC Jin and like I guess like China back and people like that.
Mm, the only one that came to mind when you said that was MC Jin, but he did it on a he did it on a. I remember listening to him back then just because as a kid, like it wasn't necessarily that I don't know. It's just I guess you're still kind of figuring out your identity. And as a kid who just had a love for rap and hip hop, I wanted to be able to look at someone and feel like I looked like them and I could do the
Yeah.
same thing. I remember when I first saw Pharrell on in the Driving Like It's Hot video. I thought he was like mixed or something. Like I thought he was mixed or
Yeah.
something. Like he had. So I was like desperately looking for someone who would like look like me or I could relate to. So Jin was like the only one that I really knew. But for me right now, like I think I'm in a different place in my life now where, yeah, who I am is who I am. And I'm very proud of that. I don't try to play that card or make that in any way a kind of point of like branding for me. Hey, everyone
Right.
look at Chinese in this or Asian American in this type of industry. I think beautiful music is beautiful music. And if you do it with an earnest sense of passion and trying to give back to the craft and do it with an earnest sense of passion. I think that should be enough. I don't want people to listen to me because I look a certain way or find me interesting because I look a certain way. I think I'm just trying to make the best music possible. And I want people to hear the music first and say, I fuck with this. And then later on, maybe if they see what I look like, they're like, oh, that's interesting. But it should be off the merit of the music only. I try
Yeah.
not to, you know, highlight the other stuff.
I mean, but also like in Asia, there's like a really big growing love of like hip hop culture and whatnot. So like, have you ever like considered like, tapping into that side of the market ever?
To be honest with you, no. Um, I'm very proud of my heritage, and I was raised in a very traditional family, and that will always be a big side of me. So I don't reject it, but I think it hasn't been a conscious strategy to really tap into that
Mm,
market and try to really because I think it would be easier for me if I'm being honest with you in the beginning because obviously someone who looks like me um, but kind of has that crossover
yeah,
sound
appeal.
like
Yeah,
like I get that but for me I'm trying to be the biggest artist in the world period not the biggest artist in East Asia and I think what
yeah,
happens if me just my personal feeling if I really double down on that you can blow up in Asia, but then it's hard for kids in Iowa or New York or Chicago or the Bay Area to really like relate to you.
Yeah.
Versus if I dominate and capture the United States, I'm gonna be popping there anyway. So it's kind of like the Jeremy Lin effect. If Jeremy Lin was dropping 40 on the Guangdong Tigers, no one in the NBA would care. But if Jeremy Lin was killing it in the New York Knicks, everyone in China knows his name. So
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just like I care about being the biggest artist in the world, not necessarily finding the easiest, fastest path to being big somewhere. If
Okay.
that makes sense.
No, it definitely makes sense.
Marijuana.